we're going to transition to our seventh presenter today. We're going to hear from Head Coach Berk Brown with the Southern Oregon Raiders. He's entering his second year at Southern Oregon and carries an overall record of 6-4. As I've been mentioning and reinforcing, 18 student athletes last fall that were recognized as academic all-conference recipients. Coach Berk Brown, I do want to take the personal privilege of just talking about what a special experience it was to be in your stadium this spring and watch the game that you were able to play as part of the Mills Bowl with Kwansai Gaikin out of Japan. And what a wonderful opportunity that was. The time is yours, and look forward to your remarks.
Thank you, Scott. I won't make the same mistake Montana Tech did. Yeah, I want to thank everyone for being a part of this Frontier Conference Media Day. It's a big deal that Southern Oregon University is a part of the Frontier Conference. It wasn't, but 14 years ago that we got into this conference, and there was a short period of time where SOU was on the brink of losing its football program until the conference graciously let us in. And it's really helped us springboard our football program and our university into where it is today. And we're very, very thankful for the Frontier Conference allowing us to be a part of what is the best conference in the NAI. If there is a SEC of the NAI, it's the Frontier Conference. There's not a week that goes by that we don't get to line up against some top level competition. And I think the coaches in the conference do an unbelievable job preparing their kids. They do an unbelievable job of recruiting, and we're just blessed to be a part of it. I've got with me today two of our captains, both seniors for us. Ty Glumbick is going to be a senior linebacker out of Lake Oswego, Oregon. And then Blake Asciutto will be our starting quarterback out of Camas, Washington. Both these guys are every bit of what we want out of leaders, out of students. And excited to have these guys on with us. They're both back home right now. This is our week off before we report to camp next Monday. So that's why they're on a separate screen than I am. Just talking real quick, I'll go through my staff. There have been some changes in our staff. We lost Coach Stewart, our offensive coordinator, to the University of Arizona, where he joined another SOU alum who's the passing game coordinator down there on the field position at University of Arizona. So Ty Curry, who's our quarterback's coach last year, he's a Western Oregon graduate. He's from Wairika, which is just about 20 minutes down the road from Ashland, is stepping in to be our offensive coordinator moving forward. Tyler Stinn returns as our defensive coordinator. Coach Stinn has a lot of experience in the NAIA and a lot of playoff and national championship experience in the NAIA, coming from Marion in Indiana. Coach Winfield returns as our linebackers coach and special teams coordinator. Josh was on staff with me in 2014 when we won the national championship, and he was the linebackers coach at that time too. We welcome Tim Souza as our new offensive line coach and strength and conditioning coach. Coach Souza comes to us from Luther College in Iowa, where he spent the last 2 years, and previous to that had won state championships at the high school level in the state of Idaho. He's a Humboldt State grad, played football when they still had football there in Arcata. Coach Wheeler returns to staff as our corners coach. I coached Coach Wheeler back in 2010 when he was a part of our team and has done a great job with our corners. John May Wofford will be in charge of our defensive line along with myself. He's an SOU alum. He's entering his second season as a coach. Coach Samson Angwai comes back to us again this year as our wide receiver coach. Did a great job last year. He's in charge of our equipment, played at the University of Hawaii, was an intern there when we hired him about a year and a half ago. Anthony Morales returns as our running back coach. Coach Mo is another Raider alum, played under the previous staff, and has coached our running backs since I got the job. Has been a huge addition. Coach Matt Lawson is new to our program. Matt comes to us from Sacramento State, where he was a quality control analyst for them, and he will be coaching our tight ends. David Douglas returns to staff. David was my offensive coordinator when I was at the local high school here at Crater High School, and he will be our assistant offensive line coach. Anton Perry comes back, and he'll be in charge of the slots. And then one of the biggest parts of our staff is who we call our digital coordinator, who's in charge of all of our media and social media posts, who does as good a job as anyone in the country at the NAIA level, and it even rivals, in my opinion, some FCS level schools. That's Henry Armony. So that's our staff. We're a staff of 12, not including some of the student assistants that we have. We do a really good job of trying to recruit and retain coaches. It's one of the hardest jobs that I have at the small college level, but we've got a staff that is primed and ready to rock and roll going into 2024. As I look at this season, extremely excited. You know, we come off a huge victory in the last game of the year, beating Coach Morosky in the College of Idaho Yotes, who were at the time were ranked the fifth team in the country, and they went on to tear it up in the playoffs and yeah, so we went into this offseason with a ton of momentum, and we have used that momentum all throughout the offseason. And you know, we have consistently had 80 guys on campus in our offseason program all the way through the summer through last week. And so I look to this year, you know, to make a jump from 6-4 and hopefully continue to improve on what we did last year. Obviously, we've got our hands full with a conference that is loaded with talent and unbelievable coaches. I think if you look at our schedule, you know, it's one of the most challenging in the conference. We open up with a Division II school out of California, Lincoln, out of Oakland. We'll play a future conference opponent the following week, Simpson College. And then we head into 3 straight weeks of what's really going to be a challenge and will really define us as a football team, as we welcome back C of I here in Ashland, followed by Montana Western. And then we go on the road to Montana Tech. And I think we will define ourselves in those 3 weeks in the conference as we take on some of the best teams out there. I'm very excited to be welcoming these two. But I think these two players that are here with me today, you know, Ty is obviously, he's coming back as a third-year starter, and it's a huge addition and the voice of our defense. And for the first time, you know, Blake, we gave him the reins, you know, going into the offseason. And I'm really excited to see what Blake can do as the preseason starter. He's not in a position battle. It's his job. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how Blake leads our team on the offensive side of the ball. Some other guys I want to talk about on offense is the first one would be running back Gunnar Yates. I think Gunnar Yates is a generational talent at the running back position. We redshirted Gunnar last year due to some injury issues coming off his freshman season, and he exploded onto the scene in our spring game against KGU, scoring 5 touchdowns. Gunnar is a legacy. His dad was a Southern Oregon University Raider and held many rushing records here that Gunnar has told me he's trying to break. On the offensive line, our leader is Gus Mendez out of Sunset High School in Beaverton, Oregon. Gus is coming back as a starter at the center and guard position. We have him slated starting at the right guard position. Gus is the glue that holds together an offensive line that is going to have 4 seniors and a junior right now as the projected starters. So we're very excited not only for Gus, but our whole entire offensive line who can finish each other's sentences right now. And we'll be a nice welcoming for Coach Souza and learning our systems. To have an experienced group like that, I think, is huge. A couple other guys I want to mention: Jackson Clemmer, who plays a tight end slot type of position for us, kind of a hybrid position. You know, Jackson's a 6'6", 215-pound kid who's getting a lot of NFL interest. We've welcomed a lot of NFL teams here to Ashland, and been speaking to a lot of guys about future in football for Jackson. Jackson led the conference last year in touchdowns and receiving yards at the tight end position. So we're very pumped to have Clem back. Sawyer Cleveland is going to be a 5th-year senior, was second team all conference for us last year. He's a big target out at the X position, and very excited to have him back. Some new guys on the offensive side of the ball. that we're welcoming into camp starting next Monday. The first one I want to mention is a kid from right across the street at Ashland High School, Caden Negra. Caden is also a legacy. His father played here in the late 90s, early 2000s. Caden's a 6'4", speedy, fast wide receiver who we think can come and contribute right away. He was finished third in the 400 in the state, so he can flat get it. So we're excited to welcome him to campus. We have an offensive lineman out of the Portland area, Patrick Woolley, who we're very excited and think can add value to our offensive line right away and provide depth. And we have a couple of transfers at the wide receiver position. We welcome Brandon Barthel, who originally came from American River, spent 1 year at Valparaiso, and he'll add a lot of depth to the wide receiver room. And James Mittmeyer, who comes to us from Minot State. We felt like wide receiver was a position we were a little bit thin at last year, so they provide a lot of depth into a position that needed some help. Along with Ty on the defensive side of the ball, we lost 9 starters on defense last year. So that's a side of the ball that we were really focused on, in the transfer world and in recruiting in general. But some guys coming back that we're really excited about. Number one would be Yona Purcell, who's going to line up right next to Ty. Yona's from St. Louis High School in Hawaii. He started in the Montana Tech game, which I think was week 4. And took off from there. And Yona's going to be a guy that everyone should keep their eyes on because I feel like he's got all conference abilities. AJ Jackson is a defensive end out of Las Vegas, Nevada. AJ came to us after sitting out a year last year, and AJ is a 6'5", 245-pound defensive end who played running back in high school, if that gives you any idea of the type of athletic ability AJ has. Dylan Daniels returns as our lone starting cornerback. From a group that had a tremendous amount of depth last year. Dylan slated right now to start at the boundary corner for us, and Dylan brings 4 years of playing experience to the corner position in a room that's very, very young. At the defensive tackle position, Bryson Kivette returns, will only be a sophomore as well. Bryson was a transfer from Boise State last year, who played really, really, really well for a young man. And we're excited to see him return and anchor down a front an interior front that is, in my opinion, very, very, very rich in depth. Some new guys that we're welcoming to campus on the defensive side of the football. We have a corner transfer out of Sac State, Jalen Speed, who will get onto campus. He played the last 3 at Sac State, redshirted 1 year and played 2 years. He still has 2 years of eligibility as a grad transfer. So we're very excited to have Jalen. O'Shea Miller will be a redshirt sophomore, had limited time last year, but has grown a ton mentally and emotionally to the point where, his 6'4", 280-pound frame is going to, I think, cause a lot of havoc for people in the conference. And then we had an early enrollee from Yelm, Washington, Arlo Henderson, who will also add depth to the corner room, has been here since January and has been a huge addition, great leader as a young man, does everything you ask of him, had some time against the KGU team in the spring game, so has playing experience now as a true freshman that we're very, very excited about. This is an exciting time to be a part of the Southern Oregon University football program. The community's buzzing about the hard work our kids have done. We're making changes not only on the football field but in the classroom as well. Like Scott mentioned, we had 18 all-conference academic all-conference players last year, but I also want to mention that was the bottom of the conference. We finished the year with a 3.0 GPA, and we're aiming to double that all-conference academic selection with the work that we do inside the classroom. Our guys have volunteered thousands of hours in our community, and we are trying to do our best to build young men of character, strength, and honor. And I think we are on the path of doing that. I think we have an unbelievable administration. Matt Sayer, our athletic director, is a football guy. He was my offensive coordinator my junior year here at SOU. Our president, Dr. Rick Bailey, it knows the importance of athletics and is increasing scholarship dollars in every which way he can. And it's we come from a place where scholarship money isn't as easily attainable as some other places, and I'm just excited to be a part of what we're building here, and we're looking just to build on the turnaround we had last year and take that next step.
Thank you, Coach. Are there members of the media who have questions for Coach Brown or any of his student athletes that are also with us on Zoom today? Go ahead, Daniel.
Coach, Daniel Shepard, 406 Sports. Heard a lot of people talking about, Southern Oregon football this year and being able to, be toward the top of the frontier this year. If you had to pick or maybe just talk about why that is possible for your program this year and taking that step forward, why do you see that as possible for your group this year?
Guys, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think this is the first year that we've really had a lot of seniors that are taking leadership, talking a lot to these young guys. And I think our young class, the freshmen that we're bringing in, we've already seen a little bit of them, and they seem really good. And some of them might be playing this year. I think having Gunnar Yates, like we talked about, having Gunnar Yates back is going to be insane. I think he's the best running back in the conference. And I think our balance between pass and run on the offense is really going to be the key. And then on defense, I know they just killed it last year, and they're going to come back. Coach Stin, he's a miracle. He's a miracle worker, and I think that's a big reason that we're getting a lot of talk throughout the conference.
Just to add on to that, like Coach Brown said, beating College of Idaho in the last game, everybody's hungry. We still have something to prove going into this season, and it showed this offseason with the amount of work that we put in and the amount of dedication that all the guys had on the team. We're just hungry going into the season, and we still feel like we have something to prove because last season was not our best.
Yeah, I think, Daniel, from my perspective, I think, like Ty said, that last victory of the year, I think, was big for us. And then having the ability to actually play a game in the spring and have eyes on us from all around the conference, I think kind of maybe generated some excitement. And yeah, I think, there's a long history of successful football here at SOU. And it's my job to make sure that we continue on the path the early 2000 team started. The 2014, 2015, 2017 continued on, and we're just trying to build upon that. And I think, it's not always easy, but I think I have the recipe. It's just the implementation of it all right now, and making sure that we recruit the right guys who, yes, can run, catch, hit, block, and do all those things. But, like Coach Sampson said, man, it's about the culture inside the building that's really the most important thing, and getting our guys to believe that they can be, the same or as good, as the 2017, 2015, 2014 teams. There's not a lack of talent in our locker room. The lack of belief, that's what we're working on right now.
Other questions from members of the media for Coach Brown or his student athletes? Well, Berk, I appreciate you and your young men with us today. We look forward to a great season for your program, and wish you nothing but success this year, and look forward to your fall camp kicking off next week.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, guys.